Hello, everybody. Um, I have been wondering and meditating upon myself whether somebody can be addicted to another person, and if so, how can you tell if I'm addicted to somebody else? I wanna go through two particular stories. First of all, one of them being when I was about 16. I remember Instagram has just come out, more or less, and I remember going through what we call FOMO, right? Like fear of missing out. And you see your friends hanging out, and then you realize, why didn't they invite me? That's kind of rude, and you feel heavy in your heart, right? And nobody likes that. And I remember I was sitting by a river, and I was praying with this pain in my heart, and I remember asking God, I don't ever want to feel this pain again. This sucks. And what I ended up realizing was that I was finding my joy in people. And that should not be, right? I desire God, and if I desire God, it should be God alone. And I'm not saying that friendships are bad or that they get in the way of God, because a lot of the times friendships can be good and beautiful and healthy and help us grow in our spiritual life. But for me, all my joy was based on friendships and people, and I just got tired of that right there in the river, and I said to myself, from now on, it is going to be God alone who's going to make me joyful, right? I do not need people to make me happy. And what that looked like was distinguishing between the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is not being okay with being by yourself, wanting somebody else. But I realized that I did not know how to live in solitude. I did not know how to be okay with being alone, with being by myself. So little by little, I started to pray and meditate more on solitude, to the point that I started to grow more in my ability to be alone without being lonely, and just being okay with being by myself, all the way from living by myself to going camping by myself, etc., etc., etc. Now, how does this relate to someone who is maybe addicted to a person? Well, can you tell whether this person finds their joy in you or in God? That's really the question that you should be thinking about. What does it look like for them to be joyful outside of you and only be joyful in God? It would look like them being okay with being by themselves. Do you know if this person is okay with being by themselves, or are they always texting you? Are they always nagging you? Are they, do you have your own space as a human being? Even if you're married or a couple, right? You have the right to have a little bit of space for you, maybe between you and God. But if you know that you're not okay with being by yourself, and you know that this other person is not okay with being by themselves, then maybe they're not ready to date yet. Now, second story is, a while back I had a good friend so it was a girl, and her boyfriend was very obsessive. He would stalk her a lot. He did not like her hanging out with anybody else except for him. He would always, if she was hanging out with somebody else, he would make sure that she was being watched by him or by somebody else that maybe he paid, or one of his friends or something of the sort. It was very creepy, right? And obviously we see some distortion here just by hearing that. But then the person, the guy started to idolize her to the extent that he could not live without knowing where she was and what she was doing and who she was with. So if the person that you're thinking, oh, maybe this person is addicted to me, or maybe I'm addicted to somebody else, can this person not think about you? Is this person okay with not knowing where you are all the time, not knowing who you're with all the time? Do they have that freedom to not be thinking about you 24/7 and being worried about your updoings? If they do not have that freedom, then yeah, there's an addiction towards the other person. And then the question is, can you actually be addicted to other people? Well, in sincerity, I don't know. But I do know that people say that you can get addicted to anything. And personally, I have been addicted to so many different things, all the way from social media to television to, you name it. Everything is addictive nowadays. So it would make sense that you can also get addicted to a particular person. And if we have the whole realm of stalkers out there who are genuinely stalkers, just like this guy that I was just talking about, the boyfriend, then that is their obsession. They cannot live without knowing what is this person doing. And if they do not know, they start craving it. And that sounds very much like an addiction. So in my personal opinion, yes, you can get addicted to people, and people can get addicted to you. Now the question is, how do you make sure that you are not addicted to somebody else, and that nobody else gets addicted to you? Setting up boundaries. Simple as that. Tell them, look, you do not need to know where I am at all times. But I'm your wife, I'm your husband, I'm your boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend. Particularly if you're a boyfriend and a girlfriend, there needs to be some separation. And both of you have to be okay with not being with each other all the time and not knowing what each other is up to. Now, whenever you're married, it might be a little bit different. But he or she does not need to be spying on every conversation that you're having at work. Or if this person doesn't trust you whenever you say, I'm going to the movie theaters with my friend Samantha and I'm also a girl, does this person trust you? And if they don't, again, there's this huge issue that takes part on all this, that this person has to know everything about you, what you're doing at this present moment. So, yep, that's all I have to say about that. All right, great. Thank you very much. See you later.